Not enough nonsense in your life? Need a little more? Well, get ready, because these two have it in spades. Loose talk.
What are you talking about? Nonsense.
Even looser opinions.
Please explain.
And you're along for the ride.
Everybody strap in!
This is The Burble with Benny and Az.
Hello, friends. Welcome to The Burble. It is Benny here.
Az is here.
That was a little bit play schoolish.
It was a little bit. We call you Benita now instead of Benny?
Actually, if I was going to be anybody from play school, I want to be John Hamblin.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Dead set. John Hamblin, like, all right, John, 2 minutes away from taping. We need you on set. And he'd be like, hang on a minute, I'm getting ready. There we go. I'm right to go. Because he dead set looked like he was drunk on every single episode of Play School. And that's why I loved him. There was an episode where they went to Taronga Zoo. I remember this quite well.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, and he was there and they were doing a thing at the Floral Clock. And then they told a story about a kangaroo. He actually fell the over during this storytelling there.
Pissed.
I don't know if he was, but, you know, John was on Play School for years. I take my hat off. Actually, I'm going to pour one out for John into my mouth right now.
I probably want to be Big Ted. He seemed to get all the love. Little Ted was just like the reject orphan that didn't really get any love. He was a little one.
Well, what about Jemima?
No, see, I'm not.
She went full blush with those round blush dots on her cheek. You know what I mean? She didn't apply the makeup subtly. But I want to say about Big Ted, though, he just looked ratty and old, so...
He did in the end.
Everyone had their way with Big Ted.
Well, that's all right, too.
You know what? I thought it used to be funny they used to have Diddle the cat.
Diddle the cat?
So, was that a command that they did for ABC state floor managers to go, just diddle the cat?
Did he have pants? Because we all know what happened to Fat Cat.
Oh, man. Yeah, but I want to know what Fat Cat did to everybody else off camera.
Well,
and neither did Humphrey. Humphrey didn't have any pants.
Humphrey didn't deserve the hate.
No, Humphrey...
He was a wonderful old fella.
He was a wonderful... but then again, he was a PIMP in a boater hat, dude.
He was. He was post, pre, before hipster boater hat shit. If he could have had a beard, he would have had a beard.
We are literally 2 minutes into this podcast and we haven't done a thing. We haven't done a thing.
No.
Welcome to The Burble. It is good to have you. As I said, my name is Benny.
My name is Az.
And we are here to pick out the nonsense stuff that happens in the world. It is the beginning of 2009. It's our second podcast. And as what's been happening this week, the Chinese have made a breakthrough, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they managed to land a rover thingy on the dark side of the far side of the moon. We're not allowed to call it the dark side anymore. I think Pink Floyd have got a trademark on that.
So hang on a minute. The only three people was the Apollo 13?
There was a couple
that have seen the dark side of the moon, but they lost communications, obviously. This is way back in the 60s.
Yeah, it's not dark. It's just the far side. We only ever see one side of the moon because the moon is tidally locked to always have one side facing the Earth. So
sure.
We called it the dark side, but it's not really dark. There's still light there because the sun's so bright. Yeah, so it's not really the dark side, it's the far side.
And so I would love to know what is on the far side of the moon. We're going to get to that. Also as well, fashion trends for 2019 have already launched out in a really awful, stupid, dumb kind of way, which is going to annoy people if someone buys these things and then tries to get onto a crowded train.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll save you on tickets at least. We'll get to that.
The very real fear that, of course, your face could end up in a porno as.
Really? It's a fear?
Maybe not a fear that the fact your face ends up there, but they could actually improve you.
Well, they probably wouldn't want to see anything other than my face. Like, I'm not real good from the neck down.
And probably not the face itself. You live in Qatar. Now, we're enjoying a couple of beers while we do this podcast. Not going to lie, cheers. But however, though, you want to drink in Qatar, you can expect to be paying through the nose. A new tax has been brought in there. Also, as well as what I wanted to talk about is an incident that has occurred over in Perth, which absolutely got emergency services on the job straight away. They needed to be there because something was happening, but not exactly what they thought was happening.
Case of premature emergentification, or...
You made a new word.
Emergentification.
You've made a new word.
Well, that's funnier in my head.
Let's discover it. Let's jump down the rabbit hole here at the Burble.
Loose talk, even looser opinions.
This is the best show on earth.
This is The Burble.
Let's do the big news story. China has landed a probe on the far side of the moon.
Finally.
So
Now, they've been talking about doing space exploration for quite a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. They really have. They've come a long way. They used to sort of, just do the knockoff stuff that wouldn't last, but now apparently they've done a rocket that won't, break in halfway to the moon. But seriously, they have landed on the far side of the moon.
Have they done manned space flights yet, China?
Not that we know about.
There's Chinese people on the International Space Station, though, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, there's Chinese astronauts, but they haven't.
But they didn't go up in their own rockets.
No, they went with NASA
right.
or Elon Musk or Russia or whoever.
So they thumbed a ride. Usually it's the English or maybe someone from Germany that you'll pick up, along the road to just, take down the road a couple of
German
kilometres.
backpackers usually.
German backpackers or English backpackers. But now they've managed to get themselves up to what used to be known as the dark side of the moon.
Dark.
So what are they doing up there? What's going on?
Well, they're having a look around, really, I guess, looking for real estate. I mean, there's, 7 billion Chinese people. They've got to go somewhere. But no, in all seriousness, they're having a scientific mission, and they've got some photos they've beamed back, and it pretty much looks like my front yard, scorched and blistered. And
Yes.
because it is hot in Australia, if anyone hasn't noticed.
But it's CLEP. So is CLEP the Chinese, they're the space exploration?
I'm not sure.
'Cause when you say
I thought it was
CLEP
CNSA, the Chinese National Space Administration.
But there's a photo here in the corner. It's watermarked that says CLEP, which sounds like something that really...
Well, you catch when you do one of those green alien chicks on the far side of the moon.
Or if you don't wash your hands at the pub.
You get the CLEP.
You get the CLEP.
I don't know.
So what have the Chinese got? What have they got to achieve being up there on the moon? Because
They've
we've
actually landed in one of the deepest craters on the moon.
on the dark side, on the far side.
On the far side of the moon, because they reckon there might be some funky minerals and weird elements and stuff up there as well. So they want to have a bit of a squizzer at that and see whether it's worth sending some Chinese mining equipment up there to actually start, bringing it back to Earth.
So they're going to mine the moon
Yeah.
and bring it back to Earth. For what purpose?
Well, we're running out of shit on Earth, really, so, it's probably a good idea to branch out. I mean, it's just a good thing no one's told the Americans there's oil on the moon, otherwise that would have been occupied years ago.
Do you really honestly think that there's any oil on the moon whatsoever?
No, God, no, it's full of cheese.
Full of cheese. You think it's actually full of cheese?
No, it's not full of cheese.
There's what is there to do? So the Americans had a hard on. JFK harded on NASA to get up there to be the first people to land on the moon.
Yeah, but that was
right?
to beat the Russians.
But did they get there though? I'm going to bring that old chestnut
let's
up.
not go there, because Neil Armstrong will kick in the door and punch you in the face.
He was an Alco for a very long time after that.
He can do what the he likes. He walked on the moon, dude.
Can I also tell you, I have shook a hand and talked to the second person on the moon, which was Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin.
I have. I've had the pleasure of actually meeting Buzz Aldrin. Now, remember a couple of years back in an interview, he just went Burko. Like, this journalist said, nah, you guys didn't land on the moon, you're full of shit. Remember Björk when she landed, in Australia or somewhere where...
No.
No, remember Björk? Björk basically went Burko. She went Björk on this journalist who asked her a question, and she had a camera in her hand. She beat living shit out of her.
Really?
Yeah, Björk went Björk.
But no, was it Neil Armstrong or was it Buzz that punched out that dude? Are you talking about when he punched out?
I got a feeling that it was strong, terse words from Buzz Aldrin.
No, but there's a video of him actually knocking a down.
Yeah, that would be Buzz Aldrin. I think it's Neil.
Right, Neil was a bit more calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've achieved this, and you've got a journalist degree from the University of Michigan.
And just another interesting fact, if you take Neil's name, Neil A, and spell it backwards, it spells alien.
What are you trying to prove there?
Well, insert X-Files music here. But no, seriously.
Can't do that, though.
The Chinese are up there, and they want to have a look around and see whether it's worth putting some more permanent stuff on the moon so they can, build bigger rockets.
Permanent stuff?
Well, like a little base.
Like a place you can get your phone fixed when you drop it?
Well, yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of space on the moon.
There's plenty of space on the moon. I get that. But at the end of the day, though, is that what does China hope to achieve? To save them billions of dollars to send a rocket up Why can't they just go to the Smithsonian and have a look at the stuff that the Americans collected?
Well, because they reckon they can do it better than the Yanks and for half the price.
Well, that is true because, well, hang on a minute. I don't know how much they spend on the lunar lander and all that kind of stuff to get it up there, but I know that it had less electronics in it than a pocket calculator.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, the original Apollo rockets had basically no computer power. They were just calculators, and Neil and the boys had to work it all out on paper.
They even had things on the windows that calculated x-axis,
Yeah.
y-axis, and
Yeah.
then the third axis to aim things.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
to,
there was none of this funky, like, you know, in the sci-fi movies
like
where
a
they've got
space sextant.
Well, it is a little bit. And actually, interesting fact that there was an automatic landing sequence that was meant to get the Eagle, you know, the thing they landed on the moon. It's called the Eagle,
Yes.
the little lunar module or whatever they
The
called it.
lunar lander.
The lunar lander. They had like an automatic sort of program, but it wasn't a program. It just basically said after 6 seconds, fire this rocket for 30 seconds and it would land it. And then they discovered when they flew over the moon that where they were going to land it was full of rocks and it would have crashed.
Yes.
So Neil Armstrong, like, moved his balls of stainless steel out of the way of the manual stick and went, nah, turn the computer off, and landed that damn thing manually.
Did he?
Never, first man in the moon with a weird gravity, no atmosphere, with an untested bloody spaceship that was meant to automatically land, and they went, nah, it's abort, and he went, nah, that. Clang, 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 moved his balls and just landed it. First go.
Can I ask, now I don't know what mission it was subsequent, but it was one of the Apollo missions where they actually took the rover up there.
Oh, the golf cart.
The golf cart. And they were fanging it around, and it had metal tyres.
Yeah.
But open metal tyres.
Yeah, because it had to spew out rocks and dust because you can't
which you could play on PlayStation's...
Gran Turismo.
Yeah, PlayStation 3 Gran Turismo 6.
Yes.
There was actually a mission on the moon you
Yes.
could drive around.
And it was bloody hard.
And it sucked balls. Speaking of balls, it sucked. We're getting a bit too nerdy here in regards
A little
to
bit.
this, so I'm going to say the word and just to bring you back to the
back to the burble.
back to the
But I
burble.
mean, China's
so why
really-
are they there?
Well, they want to build a base. They want to use the resources on the moon so they can, like, shoot more rockets further out to space, basically. And they want to go to the Yanks. See, this knockoff shit ain't so bad. Get on wish.com and buy some of it.
But then there's been a probe that was shot out years ago, which is now beyond our solar system.
It's out in the Kepler belt or Kepler belt.
The Kepler belt, that's correct.
Yes,
And
New
any-
Horizons it's called.
New Horizons, that's exactly right. So we get news of that the other day. And what do we see? They found a high-res image of a snowman.
Yeah.
They say this is the largest, furthest object.
Ever photographed or seen by man.
Yes. Now, what amazes me is
Hmm.
that they can send a request and it takes 6 hours to get there.
Yes.
And then 6 hours to come back.
Yep.
Now, that's technology that's almost on par with how the ABC used to do the cricket when we're in England. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they were just getting someone writing down what had actually happened,
And then-
pencil on the
yeah.
desk. Oh, he's knocked it there on a coconut shell. What are they hoping to find out there in the Kepler belt?
Well, they want to see what's out there. It's that whole
Just
thing.
being men, you know, we need to
we
discover.
gotta see shit.
I
You
want
know.
to see the snowman.
Well, they're looking for oil, I guess, because it is America. But I mean, it worries me that, you know, they can get a photograph downloaded onto their computer from like 1 billion miles away. Like, what is it? 6 light hours. So that's how far light travels in 6 hours.
Yes.
Which is pretty far. And they can get a high res image. I still can't load YouTube without the buffering in Australia.
Fuck me, NASA. Although you know what?
They
though?
need NASA out here to give the NBN a kick in the ass.
You know, there are two people, and I would like to put them up against each other in this world in terms of exploration or doing things. Let's throw James Cameron in the mix.
Right.
He loves the oceans.
Tell him there's a wrecked ship out there.
Yeah.
Yep.
But speaking of ships, all right,
Right.
the person who couldn't come up with his own political quote had to borrow something from another dumb Trump. and that's old mate. I've forgotten his name now. Not Catter, the other guy.
Clive Palmer.
Clive Palmer.
Oh, Clive Palmer.
Now, he came out and promised years ago, about 7 years ago, he was going to build an exact replica
The Titanic.
of the Titanic. He was going to do that. Now, whether or not that is actually going to happen, that's up to Clive. But I see these billboards, I'm driving to work and shit that says, make Australia great. And I'm thinking, you stick. Like, why can't you come up with your